Hey, it's Kevin and Fred. Do you have a referral for us here in Phoenix? There are 30,000 agents here that you could send them to. Why us? Well, for one thing, we'll keep you updated and you'll never have to track down your commission.
We'll also make you look really good to your client. And best of all, it helps us keep all this content free. So go to kevinandfred.com/referral to make the introduction. We'll take great care of them.
Hey everyone, he's Kevin Kaufman, I'm Fred Weaver, and welcome to our weekly tip.
Yes, we are excited today. We're going to be talking about comps, right? Not a very sexy topic, but it's an important topic when trying to help your clients navigate this crazy real estate market.
Yeah, well, sexy always doesn't make money, Kevin. Sometimes you got to get into the nitty-gritty details to help your clients, to help negotiate for them, and to make sure that you're actually a real estate professional, not just some amateur out there.
Yeah, so you and I were talking earlier this week about sharing a tool that you and I had created for our own real estate team, right? Because learning how to do comps and get better at comps is something that takes a lot of practice, but it takes some guidance as well. I always told people, it's mostly science, but there's a little bit of an art form to it as well. And so you and I at one point had sat down and come up with, I want to say it was 7 steps to help people kind of guide people through really kind of getting better at comps and what those particular things are that people should kind of dive into with those 7 steps. So why don't we share a few of those today? And maybe if you're feeling extra generous, Fred, we'll maybe give away a few extra.
Yeah, well, I don't really want to read 7 steps to somebody when they're capable of reading themselves, but let's give you a couple highlights. And if you like what we're saying, maybe you can use this to help a newer real estate agent yourself, or maybe this will help you refine your skills, or maybe you could share this with your team, right? So I think the first thing, Kevin, for me, when I go into comps is I always start with a tight boundary. That's my starting place. So like we're in Phoenix, Arizona, so there's a lot of like homes, right? So I like to go into a subdivision specifically, and I'll draw a map in that subdivision. I start tight, right? I don't start 1 or 2 miles out. Now I understand an appraiser may include some comps from a mile out or 2 miles out, depending on how rural of an area you live in. But I like to start tight because the reality is if I can find a model match or a very, very similar home with a recent sale or even a recent pending or a recent active home on the market that matches my subject property that I'm comping, I just think that's a good baseline when I'm going about looking at my comps. So I like to start with tight boundaries. That's the first step.
All right. So then step 2 is we got to view all recent sales and listings, right? So we're going to take a look at the sales over the last, I always start with 3 to 6 months. Like just me personally, I start at 90 days and then I go to 180 days or 6 months, depending on how many results I get in that first search, right? So 3 to 6 months, no more than 6 months unless you really have to. But this will help give you that quick understanding of the neighborhood, like the range, right? Or the spectrum of prices and the different types of homes. Now, again, you mentioned with us being a home base in Phoenix, so many of our neighborhoods, there's only a certain number of models in each neighborhood, right? We're, cookie cutter homes, as most people like to call them. That's an advantage to us when you're pricing homes, right? It gives you a much easier view into what a home might sell for, in my opinion. So starting with all of the recent sales, looking at the last 90 to 180 days max, if at all possible,
Yeah.
and starting from there.
And I got a bonus tip for you, Kevin. All really means all. Sometimes real estate professionals fall into the trap of only looking at MLS sales, and that's a mistake.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, especially in markets where we have lots of iBuyers or other investors, there's always a percentage of sales that happen outside of the MLS, right? Non-MLS sales. So using a tax records type of search engine, or your MLS probably has another tool involved where you can pull non-MLS listings, things that were not listed in your MLS system. That's incredibly important. Those are comps too, and they count just as well. So that's your bonus tip there around all recent sales and listings.
Yeah, but the other piece to that is listings. So not all listings sell, right? So we've got to look at canceled and expireds and withdrawn, especially think about what you and I are recording this podcast here. It's like May 12th of 2020, right? So post, kind of still not post COVID, but still in the middle of COVID. And there's things that happen in a marketplace that you may not see show up from 60 days ago or 90 days ago in the sales price, but you might be seeing something different with the active listings where maybe there was a ton of withdrawn or canceled or expired listings in the last 30 days or something. You want to know those things. Not that it doesn't mean they're for sure going to have a major factor, but you got to be aware of them so you can look for the abnormalities, whatever that word is.
Abnormalities.
That.
If you can spell it, we'll give you a bonus today, Kevin. Can you spell that?
I can spell it. I just can't say it.
Okay, awesome. You know what? I think that's great. We just hit on enough tips there for pulling comps. Here's the reality. You and I could go on and teach on this for an hour because guess what? We've done it in the past for our real estate sales team, for
True.
other new agents. But if you want more information on our best practices for pulling comps, comparable sales, and being able to accurately and predict values, reach out to us. You can go to kevinandfred.com and go to the contact us page. Is that where we're going to send people? Is that okay?
Yeah, if you just go to kevinandfred.com / or you could just click on the contact button. You can put in your name and your email address and then just in your message say, hey, I want the 7 steps to pulling comps, and we'll send that over to you.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Hope you got some value from our weekly tip. Go out and create yourself a great day.
Bye.